Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking a deep dive into the science behind one of the most popular health podcasts on the planet. We're going to take a really critical look at some of the neuronutrition claims that have grabbed the attention of millions. First, you just have to appreciate the sheer scale of this thing. The Huberman Lab podcast isn't just a little popular. It is a monster. It's consistently #1 on the charts, reaching a huge audience of people who are all looking to better their lives. And you can totally see why, right? The promise is so appealing. It's all about taking this super dense, really complex neuroscience and boiling it down into simple, practical tools that, anyone can supposedly use to improve their day-to-day. But that brings us to the big question, the one we're really digging into in this explainer. When you put these recommendations, especially for supplements, under a scientific microscope, how well do they actually hold up? So first, before we can even talk about the claims, we have to get a handle on the podcast's massive influence. Let's call it the Huberman phenomenon. And that massive influence, well, it creates this core tension that's really at the heart of all science communication, that constant balancing act between being scientifically rigorous and having broad public appeal. Now, let's be super clear from the get-go. We have to acknowledge where the podcast authority comes from. Dr. Huberman is the real deal, an impeccably credentialed, tenured neuroscientist at Stanford. We're talking a long list of publications in the best journals out there and a ton of prestigious awards. This is a highly respected expert, not just some hobbyist. And this right here, this is where things get tricky. In academic science, the language is always cautious. It's nuanced. You hear phrases like may improve or is suggested. But to really grab a mass audience, you often have to sound definitive, actionable. And that right there is the paradox of modern science communication. So it's really no surprise that this tension has led to some criticism. Some people feel the show can lean towards sensationalism, taking smaller studies with kind of weak evidence and framing them as these rock-solid tools, maybe overstating what the science can actually back up. So that means we've got to separate the hype from the reality by really looking at the evidence. So let's do it. Let's put 4 of the most talked about supplements under the microscope and see what the peer-reviewed science actually has to say. Okay, this table gives you a fantastic bird's eye view. And as you can see, this isn't a simple thumbs up or thumbs down story. The scientific backing is a real mixed bag, right? It ranges from pretty weak to moderately strong. And it really depends on which compound we're talking about. All right, let's kick things off with omega-3s. Now, we know they're vital for your brain's structure, but the evidence for taking them as a supplement? The scientific literature itself calls it inconsistent. Its effectiveness is absolutely not a guarantee. It really depends on your genetics, the dose, how long you take it, and this is a big one, your current cognitive state. It might give a little help in early, mild cases, but it shows basically no benefit for established Alzheimer's. Now, the story of phosphatidylserine, or PS, man, this one gets even more complicated. Not only is the evidence pretty weak and from smaller trials, but there is a huge catch. The original studies, the ones that showed promise, used PS that came from cow brains. The supplements you buy today, they use safer plant-based sources, but some of the newer trials suggest they might not even be as effective. So the very research that's often cited might not apply to the product you can actually buy. Choline, though. Okay, now we're talking. This one is on much, much stronger footing. Its role is super clear and direct. It's a building block for acetylcholine, which is a critical neurotransmitter for memory. And the studies show a really strong link between getting more choline in your diet and having better memory. The science here is just way more consistent. And finally, creatine. You hear about this a lot as a general brain booster, but the science actually points to something much more specific. Your brain is a massive energy hog, and creatine helps it recycle that energy. Its benefits really shine when the brain is under stress, think sleep deprivation. So it's less of a universal everyday enhancer and more of a resilience tool for when things get tough. So after drilling down into these individual compounds, it's time to zoom out, because focusing so much on single supplements can make us completely miss a much bigger, way more powerful, and frankly more fundamental system for our brain health. And this brings us to the gut-brain axis. The best way to think about it is like a superhighway of information, with signals constantly flying back and forth between your gut and your brain. And this system, it influences everything from your mood to how sharp you feel. And here is the key takeaway. What you eat is what directly fuels this entire system. Whole foods, they feed the good gut bacteria that create beneficial compounds for your brain. On the flip side, Ultra-processed foods can promote the kind of inflammation that's linked to that brain fog feeling. This is exactly why a food-first strategy is just so much more powerful than simply popping a few pills. And check this out. This shows you exactly how to get these powerful compounds right from your plate. Whether it's the omega-3s in salmon or the choline in eggs, whole foods give you these nutrients in this complex, synergistic package that a single supplement often just can't replicate. Okay, we've covered a ton of ground. So, what in the world are you supposed to do with all of this information? Let's try to distill it all down into a simple, actionable playbook for your own brain health. Rule number 1, and honestly, if you take away nothing else, it should be this. You have to master the fundamentals first. No pill in the world can make up for a lack of sleep, a lifestyle without movement, or a poor diet. These are the absolute non-negotiable cornerstones of your cognitive function. Now, if you do decide you want to explore supplements, you've got to approach it like a scientist. First, understand the context. Are you taking this for a specific stress situation or just general health? Know your source. Is the evidence based on the actual version you're buying? Follow the dosage guidelines, and maybe most importantly, talk to a healthcare professional. And finally, this is all about empowering yourself. Absolutely appreciate the platforms that are trying to make complex science easy to understand, but at the same time, always stay a critical consumer. Be aware that oversimplifying things has risks. Always question those definitive-sounding tools and hunt for the nuance behind the big headline. And that leads us to our final thought. As you continue on your own health journey, it's really worth asking, in this world that's always looking for the next magic pill, is it possible the most powerful breakthrough for our brains has been waiting for us this whole time, on our dinner plate?